So this is now the second chapter after we have gotten into the idea that our government is a structure of human relationships and the resources are there appropriated by the people who hold, at least by terms of our temporary structure, the highest form of power. But our government begins to appropriate this money, and it is available 17,000 grants for each and every person. Now, where this conversation goes here is to touch on the idea of anybody who doesn't want to do anything wrong. Michael Jackson said Billie Jean is not my lover and that kid is not my son. So we want to discern between how we reflect the Venus Project and still go forward with our own initiatives and agendas. Oftentimes, when somebody begins to insert their own idea, you lose a little bit of the integrity of what you once had before. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be perceived in this way when you see that each person functions off of the best of their abilities that they can do. So you don't want to use the Venus Project, Jock Fresco, Roxanne's name in ways that are just terms of inspiration. John Lennon said, "Imagine there's no countries." And John Lennon is alive within us. We live his ideas. Abraham Maslow came up with the idea of the hierarchy of needs. Because of his concept, we now have conversational relationship to the needs of each and every person. So this is where you have to begin to take your confidence, because I had to do that to put myself into a video setting like this, because I've learned about how to go forward and begin to initiate change. And in fact, I think it's easier than most people think. They see it as so far away because they keep it in terms of ideology. But relating to your idea of what the Venus Project values are, you can begin to work together on teams of people who are working towards this process. And what difference is it if the money is granted to you or if it is free resources from all of the world? It's free resources to you. It's a God-given experience to yourself. So this is where we have the new conversation about what is a resume. What is a vibrational resume? What things can I begin to contribute? What points of attraction do I have to start to bring about the stamp and the pulse of the Venus Project to a larger extent? Now this is where it begins. It begins within you. You have to say, first of all, the Venus Project is alive in me, and I understand their idea. I understand conserving resources, creating the best and the most for the highest value of them all, of all people. This is saying now Project Neptune is alive within me. Now, Project Neptune and what Peter Joseph's zeitgeist means the now, the current time frame. In the Bible, signs and seasons, Mawada. These are all the same concept that we're working with. It doesn't matter what word we begin to put on it. Now becomes the place of being able to look into the finite corners as as a team full of chemistry, as the fans of the Venus Project, we have to start to like each other and also begin to listen to each other. Because over time in my life, I've had the need for concept of astrology. I've had the need for concept of channeling. Each time I had a need for concept, I began to understand something. In a less mature state, I might have not taken what people said to be true. Because you never know who is going to be a genius, who's going to have that finite little piece of information. Now, I'm going to introduce to this conversation what Danica Patrick said when asked, "Are you really a race car driver? Are you really a NASCAR driver?" And she said, "Well, these are the things that are working. GoDaddy likes me, my sponsor. My team believes in me. And our cars are getting better." Now, she doesn't necessarily have to have "I'm a race car driver, NASCAR driver" within her to go out and race herself and end up winning the big race. In Japan, it came down to a fuel mileage IndyCar race, and Danica Patrick won. She could win in NASCAR while not having the actual meme of NASCAR within her. So people have their own process. You have your own process, and I want you to begin to understand what that is and how that functions, and it doesn't have to be good enough for anybody else. We as the Venus Project team have to be willing to understand that we need to listen to each other. Even if it sounds off at first, there may be something, a little treasure, the diamond in the field that the farmer sold, if you're willing to begin to have the process. Now, the process can begin to start slow, and through our team, we can counsel each other and bring psychology to each other's understanding. Free counseling, free advice, free friends, free lessons, and these would be what would begin to formulate in life those experiences that will lead to bringing about Jacques Fresco's first city, bring about the molds in the ground to create the houses, bringing about having energy as a free resource, which we're going towards that direction. I think the threshold has already crossed, and the step that you have to take here is saying, I have the confidence to believe everything that I've always known is everything that I've always known. Kanye West had the song, "Nuh-uh, you can't tell me nothing." So that is where I'm going to end this chapter.